Well, good afternoon. This is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred. Really glad you could join me today out here in the vegetable garden. It's a beautiful day here in Pennsylvania, Zone 6. And so today I wanted to share with you some tips and ideas on how you can direct sow kale out in your garden. And the variety is Lacinato, also known as dinosaur kale. So thanks for joining me today out here in the vegetable garden. So I'm going to be direct sowing these kale seeds in the raised bed right behind me. This is a 4-foot by 8-foot section. It's part of a 32-foot section of garden here. I have 3 raised beds that are 4-foot by 8-foot divided into 8-foot sections. And I also fill my raised beds with a composted leaf mulch that's amended with topsoil. I end up getting my compost from Barnside Compost locally. I get about anywhere from 5 to 10 yards every year, and you know, it's certified weed free, which makes it really nice. I have minimal weeding in my garden. And this is also the burpee variety seed here, and you know, behind every pack they always give you a little bit of helpful information here, and it tells you that the depth to plant the seed is about 1/4 inch. I generally like to go maybe a 1/2 inch. And then you want to thin these to about 18 inches apart. You know, you want to make sure, I'd say anywhere from 12 to 18 inches. It all depends on how tall you let them get, how mature. But you want to also make sure you have plenty of air circulation around each plant. And then harvest day is 70 days. And so, since these are going to be underneath a low tunnel hoop house, you know, you can direct sow these maybe a month before your last frost date. But if you're going to be just direct sowing these not under a row cover, you know, you might want to wait a couple weeks before your last frost date to sow these out in your garden. And you also want to make sure these get a good 4 to 6 hours of sunlight. You know, leafy greens require only about 4 to 6 hours of sunlight, where anything that has a fruit or a root, you want to make sure they get at least 6 to 8 hours of sunlight. You know, the more the better. You know, something like your tomatoes or your peppers, your potatoes and carrots, your melons, they all like at least 8 hours of sunlight. And so what I have here is my little story pole. If you've seen my other videos, you see that I use this a lot. I ripped it off from a 2x4 to about 1 inch wide by 1.5 inches. And I'm going to just come back about 6 inches and screed this in the soil. It's going to create a nice furrow in the soil, and then come back about another 12 inches. You know, being a contractor for 40 years, I can pretty good estimate, you know, inches. And so, you know, you don't have to be that accurate, but roughly 12 inches would be good. And then if you ever have to go a little deeper, you can always just run your fingers down the trench like this. That'll loosen it up a little bit more. You want to make sure too, where you're going to be planting your seeds, that you don't have a lot of clumps. You want this to be nice fine soil. And so I'm simply going to just take my seed pack, open it up, and then make a V on the end here. And then I'm also going to take a rock, and you want to mark each end, or some kind of marker where each of your rows are going to be. My stones here are nice and handy, so I'm just going to stick one on each end. And then just start gently tapping them in. And I'm going to try to plant these seeds anywhere from, you know, 4 to 6 inches apart. And then as they get, again, mature, or start to grow a couple inches, you can thin these out, and you can even transplant them somewhere else. But once you start tapping, you know, you can develop a pretty good rhythm here. You could even drop these in every couple inches apart if you want to, in case some don't germinate. I always take these and thin them out and plant them somewhere else in my garden. And so we'll come back here on this row. And I'm going to finish these out, and then you also want to then backfill with your hand, or if you have a small rake, and then also tamp them down as you go. And so finish tamping these in. And so after all your seeds are sown in the soil, backfilled and tamped down lightly, you just want to make sure you water your seeds in really well. Make sure you keep them moist during the germination period. You don't want your seeds to dry out. And so what I'm going to do next now is I have a piece of spun bonded polyester. It's a cutoff or a remnant that I had from a larger piece. And I'm going to cover these seeds up so the birds can't get to them, or the deer, or anything else. I need to pull that a little bit more this way. And let me go back and fix the brick here on this side. But these covers will also warm up the soil a little bit for you. And so, you know, these are going to probably take about 10 days for germination. Well, anyhow, I just want to thank you for joining me today out here in the vegetable garden. It's been a beautiful day out here. You know, clear blue sky. We've had a couple days of rain in the past, so this is really nice. It's drying out the, you know, the lawn around here. Well, anyhow, if you have any questions or comments about this video, feel free to leave them in the section below. And you can also visit us at plantsmartliving.com to learn more about gardening and how you can reclaim your health. So anyhow, I hope you have a wonderful day today. So until next time, this is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred.